What's up, guys? Barry Game here, back with some more Idle Heroes, and today we're going to be talking about, well, those mistakes that are really going to hurt your progress. Whether you're new to the game, starting a new account, or you're a veteran player and you just haven't really experienced the earlier game in quite a while, or even the mid game, you might not be aware of some of these mistakes you might be making, and that is definitely going to hurt your progress and you're optimally playing. Now, if you're going for fun strategies, that's cool. You can still follow what you're about to see here, even if you're not going with that cookie cutter account that you typically see us building. Even fun accounts still need to play a little bit optimally when it comes to these 10 things. Hopefully you guys enjoy this one. Let's jump right into it. So starting off at number 1, we are going to be talking about building bad heroes. Yes, a lot of people make some really bad decisions in the early game on what heroes to build. Now, typically they give you a ton of Garuda copies, so a lot of people do make Garuda their first build hero. That's not too much of an issue, honestly. That is perfectly fine. Is she optimal? No. Is she still a solid hero? Absolutely yes. But what you do eventually come across are people that don't really pay attention. They don't know Eloise or someone like Holmes Young is kind of like the best heroes to go for your first hero. You see a lot of funky things, especially, oh man, especially when you jump over to like, this place right here. You see a lot of crazy accounts with crazy heroes. Some of them are much further along. Some of them just have a bunch of food heroes. But a good thing to follow if you are in the early game, if you check out a lot of the people on the Crystal Crown League list, these are going to be ones that have some much better accounts. Having heroes like Eloise is going to be probably the #1 hero you see here. Try to stick around accounts that have similar things. This one's interesting. Actually building like an Aspen early on isn't horrible if you're spending a little bit, but if you're free to play, it's kind of hard to do. And you can kind of see a lot of people spread their power out. They're not even doing like void imprinting. Making sure you invest your power properly is probably one of the best things to do. Even accounts like this, a little funky that the Eloise isn't built up, but the majority of people on here are going to have things like Eloise and Tix, and they're going to be more optimal. So if you're wondering what heroes to build, we have tons of videos on that, but please just don't build things like Bloodblades. Now, the second one actually kind of stems off of what you see from a lot of these that we were just going through, and that is building too many heroes at the same time. So you eventually come across accounts like this that have a bunch of like E1 to E4 heroes. In Idle Heroes, it is much builder taking a single hero, building them all the way up to E5, and then working on your next project. I feel like our account is a good example. We build the Eloise, we get her food ready for her void imprinting, we then build one of her tenant heroes. Once that one's built, we work on the next tenant hero, and so on and so forth. Having too many 9-star 10-star heroes on your account can be detrimental. Now, I know I showed you this one here. A lot of these are going to be like tenant heroes and stuff, or food heroes, like you'll see this queen. The one big issue is having something like this where you have a 10-star Drake, Aspen, Asmodel. Too many light and dark heroes. Elena, you're not going to be building them, and you're just really hurting your overall progress by having too many heroes being built at the same time. Try to take one hero at a time, build them up, and get them all the way up to E5. Next up is going to be deciding what monster to go for. Now, there are a couple options that actually work pretty well. I think the main standard monster people go for nowadays is still the Phoenix, because you're getting that burn synergy. It's very easy to get a burn on the enemy target with something like a Deathsworn here, that when he dies, he puts a burn on all enemies for 15 rounds. The synergy there is just absolutely amazing. But there are some other options. Going for like Nemean, the lion essentially is not bad if you're doing an Eloise type account, because it keeps her alive. Conversely, if you're building a main hero that is dealing poison damage, the snake can be good. And of course, if you're building a hero that has bleed, wolf can be good. Now, besides that, the only other mistake I see is people investing too early in the rune speed over here. You want to go for like attack and HP first, and then when that is all done, then go for runes of speed. If you're hurting for gold in the early game, do not take this monster above level 120. You basically need 120 to unlock these runes here. This is a much later type thing you do once you have more resources, because you don't want to dip too much in your gold that you need for gold and spirit for leveling heroes. This basically just increases the amount of bonus damage you do, but it's very marginal. Coming in at number 4, we're going to be talking about your resources, yes, in your bag. And we're not necessarily talking about things like, spirit, promotion stones, magic dust. We're talking about the premium resources. Number 1 being heroic scrolls, number 2 being prophet orbs, number 3 being wishing coins, and technically number 4 we'll go ahead and say gems as well. These are very important resources to have saved up. This is not like most of the games where it's like, oh hey, I got 10 summons, I'm going to use them, see if I get the heroes I need, upgrade my account, become more powerful. Heroes are not as important because getting chests in this game are so easy, so the fun of pulling heroes really isn't there in idle heroes. But what you do need to do is save these types of resources, because you eventually get events kind of like what we have coming up next week with Easter Party, where you're going to want to have wishing coins saved up. That's how you get the premium rewards in this game. You get things like mysterious artifact selection chests for the best artifacts in the game. You get essence sublimation chests, which you need to upgrade your heroes in the future. You get core of origin chests. All these things are really important and are things that, as a free-to-play player especially, you're only going to get a few of every single year. It is very much a be patient type aspect, but you want to save those resources. Now, kind of segueing from those resources, there is a secondary resource I want to make a whole different point of, and that is going to be contract starry gems, and prism starry gems. If you don't know the difference, essentially when you buy starry gems in the game, they come in the form of prism starry gems. These can be very limited in their use. When you do unlock the auction house, you'll have a daily limit of how many of these spent prism starry gems you can convert into regular starry gems. Regular starry gems can be used on the auction house and on value packages. However, you can then also take them, destroy hero copies, and turn them into contract starry gems, which can only be used on your own account. However, you can use them for soul awakenings, you can use them for value package purchases, at least some of them, and of course there is the starry gem mall where there are some additional things. Typically you should stay away from this as a newer player to the game. What you want to do is continue saving these up until you have a bigger amount, and of course save any awakening resonance crystals you have, because there are things called soul awakening galas, and then there's also soul awakening sessions. Essentially, you want to keep saving so that you can get things like essence sublimation chest and artifact chest from these soul awakening galas. In reality, you should probably be skipping most soul awakening galas as well, unless it's attached with a soul awakening session. That is a completely different event that has a full leaderboard. That basically means you need to be able to do 200 points worth of contract starry gems, which it's random kind of how many starry gems you need and how many awakenings you need, depending on if you're retiring heroes or not. But saving for that was important, because typically if you can get to 200 points, you get a B+ stone, very similar to this. That means that's going to be the best chance you ever have of getting an A- hero copy. And of course, as you know, A- hero copies have giant killer, which basically means you deal double damage. Make sure you're saving these up. Don't use them in other arbitrary ways. Save them for soul awakening sessions. Do not spend them any other time. Now, the next thing I see a lot of people making mistakes on is just the regular marketplace and things like that. As you know, saving up these gems, if you're not a spender, you do get quite a few of them nowadays, between CD key codes, just free rewards, and monthlies, and all these different game modes that have been reworked. You get a lot of these gems, a lot. But what I see is people making mistakes and spending too many gems in the normal marketplace, and it really hurts their progression, because as you know, when we come across a bigger event like Easter next week, you're going to want probably 30 to 50,000 gems saved up. If you don't have that much, get working, get saving, stop spending them. The one little thing that I would say is a minor thing that you could do: if you do have a surplus of gems, you can consider buying some cores of transcendence every once in a while from the marketplace. That's not too bad, again, so long as you have enough. Everything else here is not worth buying, and in reality, this technically isn't worth buying either. What I would do if I was an average player is I would mainly just be focusing on when this shop opens, because occasionally there will be cores at a cheaper value of 250 gems less. This right here I can get with. This is what I typically do on my free to play, while also still saving gems. But again, you're saving 250 gems on that core you're buying compared to the one daily, so just keep an eye out that, but mainly save your gems. Another thing that I see a lot of people making the mistake of is on an early game account. Of course, you know you have your tech. Investing too much in things like, The secondary tech, they only help to a point. Sticking away from these over here, these are all the crowd control ones. These are very much more for later game. Getting a couple key damage reduction ones for Sealand, those can be helpful, so I would consider it. But once you get this done, I would then see who your tenant heroes are and be like, oh, you know what I need to do now? I need to now go through and I need to upgrade these, because these right here are going to make your main householder stronger. And we have a Tix on this count who is a householder for, of course, our Eloise. So essentially what we're going to want to do is go through and get the stats that matter. We don't need to max all these out right away, because things like precision, crit, they don't do too much. Skill damage, they're not going to do too much. The ones we want to focus on are the HP and the attack nodes, which are the first two, and then most of the time are these last two right here. We're going to want to upgrade that one to max, and we're going to take this one to max next. Now that also kind of goes to our next point, is the fact that we have regular guild coins, and in this game we also have gold Solidus. Now technically you can convert regular gray guild stones, guild coins, for these gold Solidus. You should not be doing this at all unless you have 100% of every single guild tech tree filled out, secondary and first. So make sure you are never doing that. And then of course with that too, the store is an interesting one. It is a good way to potentially generate 5 stars for Light and Dark faction. However, with the introduction of Treasure Train, I feel like most people should stick to only getting guild treasure coupons, because you're only going to be able to buy like one of these a day, even though there's a limit of 20. Every time you buy one of these on a day, goes up by 1,000. So you want to stick to purchasing pretty much one of these a day, and then slowly accumulating them, because those will unlock the power of our treasure train. And as you guys see, through getting things in our guild here, if we go over to Adventurers Guild, we're getting flat amounts of HP, we're getting HP and attack. There's a lot of stats you can get from these here, and even if you're only unlocking the lower tier things, it still gives you some bonus benefits. So make sure, number one, you're not converting your guild coins into guild Solidus. You want to keep them as guild coins until your tech tree is done, and then eventually you will buy those treasure train tickets. Now, speaking of the guild treasure train coupons, we want to talk about the regular treasure train coupons and the other things that come with it, which I actually don't think I have any of, and those are treasure crystals. So come over here, you'll notice there's two things: treasure crystals and treasure coupons. Typically you do not want to just use these the instant they come up. What you want to do is save them until you get about 30, because if you do get to a certain point, that means you're going to be able to get selection chests that lets you just pick an additional treasure completely for free. Typically free-to-play players should stay pretty much safe until you can do like 30 of them. After that, you're going to wait for a different series to come up. If you do participate in any of the events, like Easter should have a special coupon that you're going to see pop up. If you can't do enough to get a chest, most of the time it's better to let them sit and then convert them into regular treasure coupons, so that you can save up for 30 of them much easier. That's going to be a better way to power up your account than trying to get really lucky and maybe hit like a treasure. One of these guys, it's very rare for you to do that, especially if you don't even get 10 full tickets, so keep that in mind. Now, last and certainly not least is your chest situation. I see so many people start using their chest way before they actually need the resource. And sometimes it's in the worst scenario where they grab a core of origin when they get their first 2 chests, and they're not even sure that's going to be the main hero they're picking. Please do not touch these chests. Let them sit until you are absolutely ready to use chest. Same goes with hero copies. You're like, I'm going to build a carry. I know I'm going to build a carry. I'm not going to grab the carries out just yet, because I might somehow get one some different way in the game, and then it's a wasted hero copy. You guys have seen me do it on this account where I grabbed an extra Tix on accident because I forgot I got one from another game mode. So please be patient, save these up. Don't pull them out, just let them sit until you are absolutely ready to use them. Artifacts can be a little different. If you are slowly building up an artifact, that's fine, that's not an issue, but please don't use them on hero copies, on sublimation chests, and on core of origin chests. So hopefully these 10 things help you make better decisions and less mistakes in the game, because these will definitely help you with your progression, because Idle Heroes is a very slow idle grinding game. Granted, it's much faster than it has been in the past, but it is still a slow progression game. Making these decisions and making these choices smartly will give you better progress. Hopefully you guys enjoy this one. If you have any questions, leave a comment down below, and I'll see you guys next time.